been talking about AI all week here at Insight. It is the hot topic of everything.
Okay.
And so I had to go get one of my bosses who just came fresh off the keynote stage to talk to us about the demo that we saw, because I have so many questions about this demo that I couldn't think of any other way than just have him on here. So welcome to the show, Mr. Jonsi Stefansson. How you doing, man?
Hey, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good. That was an impressive demo.
Yeah, I think demo. It was literally 15 demos in 5 minutes.
I was watching. I was trying to keep up. There were all the cloud providers. I saw Red Hat OpenShift. I saw InstaCluster. I was trying to keep just
Blue XP,
Blue
Domino,
XP was in there, obviously,
Dremio, Kubeflow, PyTorch, and Feast. So, yeah, I mean, like we've talked about, Nick, all the time. I mean, the ecosystem is critical to the success of AI for any company in the world.
Yeah.
And you know how many engineers like yourselves we have working with these deeply coupled integrations, and it's been a beautiful collaboration with all of them. And the Domino team, the Dremio team, we have another one that is super impressive called Data Neuron. So there's so many cool, you know. I get, as a serial entrepreneur, I get like goosebumps seeing every one of those cool startups popping up left and right when it comes to the AI ecosystem, and you know, MLOps, AIOps, you know, data, you know, sort of organizations, data transformers. You know, it's all coming to life now, and we just want to be wherever, you know, the practitioners are going to be.
I tried to get, unfortunately he's not with us, I tried to get Mike Oglesby to come on and talk about some of those tools and things like that. I'm going to catch up with him after the show this week and maybe have him on for another episode. He was just on a few months ago. There's so many new tools that are out there, like some of the ones that you were rattling off. Some open source, some not. Some like sort of based in the cloud, and some are you run them on your own thing. The thing that stood out to me was there are so many moving parts. It reminded me of the early days of like the Kubernetes landscape from 10 years ago. Are we going to be, is it going to be that level of madness all over again with all of the tools sort of going all in different directions? Or do you kind of envision it being more concentrated and consolidated into a few select ones?
Honestly, I hope not.
Yeah.
You know, I love the chaos a little bit. Because, I mean, there are tools that fit, you know, specific use cases that the data scientists and the data engineers are looking for. There is not going to be this one fit that rules them all, you know. So I'm really hoping for that next, you know, startup sprawl around AI.
Yeah.
And you know, machine learning is back with a vengeance. You know, I mean, we've been using machine learning, like building our intelligent infrastructure, like data infrastructure, for many years.
My phone has a neural network in it.
Yeah, precisely.
With ML models.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been doing it for years. But, you know, it's how the journey of the AI is. You know, whether you're training a model, you're inferencing, you are using RAG, you're fine-tuning, you know. But one thing that I think is crystal clear is that AI is going to be hybrid forever.
Yes, I think you're right. I feel like this is going to be a boom. I feel like we're on the cusp of this really being like ChatGPT a couple years ago really kicked it into gear. One of the questions that I asked someone else on Monday after the keynote, Monday evening, was we've seen the consumer side of this really start to influence how it gets brought into the enterprise. Yes. And we've seen this with other things before, like bring your own devices and other types of virtual desktops and things like that. How do you feel like that end users that are doing this on their phones or using Copilot in Office 365, for example, how is that going to affect and drive implementation in enterprise applications, in your opinion?
Honestly, with you know, natural language models, you know, nerds like you and me, we can basically start talking to our stack. I can literally say, here's the aggregate that I want, here's the performance levels that I need, here's what I go and configure it. And it will literally just go and configure it. So it means it's kind of like we might be going out of a job soon because it's actually all going to be automated. But I mean, this is the simplicity that this brings to the table, especially like you've seen like the plethora of web apps that are being developed by speech.
Yeah.
Like this, just a description of what you want, and it actually builds it for you. Yes, it's simple web apps today, and it's flaky as shit. Sorry.
It's YouTube, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. But it's really flaky.
Yeah.
And we know that. So you actually have to go in with your development skills and fine-tune it.
Yeah.
And weed out all the bugs and everything. But, with time, this is actually going to take over. And one of the things that I think this is actually going to bring in the future is, anybody can have an awesome startup idea, but they maybe struggle with being able to create that prototype. Imagine having like somebody, like any random with no technical background, no development skills, can actually start to describe what he wants to build. And yes, it's going to be flaky and buggy, but he can still prove out his theory with that, natural language, speaking to and speaking code into existence. So I think that's a very exciting future.
To your point, I saw a demo the other day of a developer who was trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
He completely removed his keyboard from his machine and was only using a microphone and was prompting. And he started with a complete blank slate in his IDE, and he said, here's what I want. It wrote it out. He told it to check its work, and it went through and it found like 3 bugs and corrected them. And then he told him to document the code, and it spit out. And then he said, launch the prototype, and it pulled up the web app.
Yeah.
And in 5 minutes.
Yeah, granted, it was a very simple web app.
Sure.
So very, very simple.
Yeah. But to show the art of the possible, right?
Precisely. Yeah. And that really excites me. I mean, even though you still need to have that development background in order to make it, pitch perfect. But the possibilities of anybody can come up with the next great startup without having to have that background, or have to outsource or ask people or give away a portion of their company to a developer that because he didn't have the skill set. It's a threat, to us.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing, You don't even need, if you have a phone, you could literally do it today.
Yeah.
Very simple. But going forward, you're basically just speaking to your microphone on the phone, and hey ho, let's go.
Well, I see. So for people like me specifically, I will openly admit I am not a coder. I do not sit at an idea.
Yeah.
I can write enough VB script and PowerShell to be dangerous, but basically that's there to automate the deployment of infrastructure.
Yeah, precisely.
And that was what drove me to learn that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I understand how to a sort of an order of operations of how to do something. So if I can tell a GPT model to via NLP, I know exactly, here are my recs, and here's the order I want you to do them in.
Yeah.
And it just pounds them all. Like, it's invaluable for whether it's creating content, checking grammar and spelling, some of the simplest stuff in education. It's going to be monumentally groundbreaking.
Okay, I'm going to be a little bit controversial now.
Okay.
I have kids in school here in the States, and I have kids in school in Iceland, the older ones and stuff. It's making me furious how the education system is refusing to accept this and learn how to live with this.
Agreed.
Teach our kids, the future and what's coming and how to take advantage of tools like this. Don't kick them out of school for using this.
Right.
That's just idiotic. And the education system, step up and know that you are going to be forced to reckon with this, or die. Nobody's going to go to school anymore if you're actually taking away the most powerful educational tool ever existed. It's driving me nuts. I know it's very controversial, but
It's not, though, because it's history repeating itself. We went through the exact same thing in the late 90s with the internet. The mid-90s, I would say.
Google.
I was a freshman in college, dating myself, in 1995.
Yeah.
There were rules about what you could use the internet for.
Yeah, I remember.
So something as trivial as a search engine or an Encyclopedia Britannica online or whatever, Microsoft Encyclopedia, like we were prohibited from using that. We had to go to the library and pull our books out. It's the same thing 20 to 30 years later now, where we're seeing, okay, well, not only will it look it up for you, it'll also sort of notate it and write it down for you. That is not preventing a child from learning anything.
No.
They are just learning a different kind of skill.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Just teach critical thinking.
Right. Instead of bland memorization.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
I completely agree with you. I love this conversation.
Yeah. Maybe we have to cut this out, or.
So I wanted to. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because I had seen a teaser of your demo before the keynote today. I think it was last week.
You're on our team, so of course you did.
The thing I wanted to ask you was, with the number of tools and everything that were in there, do we have the way to sort of streamline a lot of that work? I know we've got Blue XP and InstaCluster, and we have various tools that do that.
Yeah.
Most of the others were integration points that we could go out to other providers or solutions. But can we do any work ourselves to streamline that a little bit more and bring it together?
I love that question, Nick. And if Naveen was sitting here right next to me, and I think you should definitely have him on.
Yep.
I mean, this is the vision for Blue XP. To become that extensible API proxy to all of our services. Then the integration is through a single point, not to multiple different products. And this is where Naveen and Chris and Gagan and everybody is sort of going for. And once we have that, imagine with all the first-party services and everything that we have, how much easier it is to do those integrations. And integrations with all the ISVs that we are currently working with. And once we get that, everything becomes easier and everything becomes way more streamlined. Were you checking if Naveen was going to be on?
Well, I was trying to see, can I get Naveen on here? No, I'm not sure we have room today, but I definitely will commit. I'm going to write a little note for myself here that to make sure that we have them on a follow-up episode for sure. Any last thoughts of... We're closing out Insight for 2024. Today's day 3. We've talked a lot about AI this week. Yeah. However, I think we're equally excited about things that have gotten us here. When you first joined back in 2016, it was a different kind of time. Like, we were first getting into cloud ventures. We had been talking about data fabric a little bit as an idea of like maybe we can do this kind of stuff. And over the last almost 10 years now, we've really just built all of this stuff. Yeah. And we've put it all into practice. So we've laid the foundation of the house, and now we've got to start putting some doors and windows on that house to allow people to come in and use the stuff in different ways. I see this now as a bigger vision of that, just as it's evolved. But it's fundamentally kind of the same thing. We just need to make it easier to access and use.
Yeah, I mean, conceptually, it is still the data fabric.
Yeah.
And what the data fabric stood for. The issue, however, even though it's all, I mean, we have always had a different view of what the data fabric is compared to the likes of Gartner or all the analysts. Yeah. So we kind of have to abide by that and more talk about, how that this, in a sense, Nick, the data fabric concept has become the intelligent data infrastructure. That's literally what's happening. And one thing that I don't think people realize, outside of NetApp, is how the innovation has... Sorry, got info. Forgot to put on Do Not Disturb. So, what people don't realize is the fact that ONTAP, as an operating system, has actually morphed into ONTAP, an extensible platform. Yeah. You can see the acquisitions that we've made that used to be the DataSense product that we had. Now that's finding its way into the ONTAP platform. becoming a core with governance and compliancy, everything sort of built in. Instead of selling it, it's part of that ONTAP platform.
Yeah.
The data catalog, the data explorer, the classifications, everything is coming together into that platform. So, can I ask you one question?
Please.
How excited are you about the disaggregated ONTAP?
Jonsi, there were times, just a quick little
anecdote. Because we have talked about it in the past, that we needed that scale-out capability and being able to scale capacity and performance
separately.
Sorry.
Just to do it separately, and to take it even one step further, I can go back to conversations that I had in like 2011 or 2012, where it was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could run a virtual machine? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be cool if we could run containers? A couple years later when Docker came around, what if we could disaggregate it and use the compute in any ways that we saw fit, and do that in ways that you might want to stack 10 A1Ks for a small level of storage just to really crunch it, or vice versa, have a giant pool of data that you could just need a couple of controllers for. That has been something that we've been waiting for a long, long time for, and it's kind of the decoupling of the HA pair construct 100%. That is going to be a game changer, and I think this has been a journey that we've been on this whole time, and I think the C-Series stuff last year led to ASA in the summer, and then it led to the new A-Series launches and the A1Ks with the all-new modular architectures and the modern hardware stuff, components that are inside of it, and it all just sort of starts to come together as this big story. And I think to your point, where we stop talking about infrastructure with data fabric, and we start talking about data management and data utilization with intelligent data infrastructure, is where that's the inflection point for me.
I don't know if it actually comes through the on YouTube, but there's this sparkle in Nick's eye when he actually starts talking about it. It's actually hilarious. He's always had it.
Jonsi, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy man. You got to go, man. And
thank you. I really appreciate all the work you do for us, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you.